I suppose when we have the hybrid and amalgam story that we say is the typical understanding of Christmas today. People are going to tell you a hybrid story of Matthew and Luke.
Right.
This is going to have shepherds and it's going to have wise men. It's not going to have the massacre of the innocents. It's probably not going to have John the Baptist.
Yeah, just the best parts. We'll have the census.
So
we'll have,
just take the, and then as a result, we're saying this child is here to save us.
Yeah.
Here's our message of hope. This is how this happened. Don't think about why, because we can't answer that question. It's an unanswerable question. But even in this world where we don't understand why bad things happen to good people, we have hope because this child is going to be sacrificed for everything that we have done, for all of our sins. So that's what I suppose that is the message of hope. I guess that's what I would say that I typically encounter when I encounter Christmas.
Yeah.
Is that, wait a minute, we have a birth, we have a beginning, we have a message of hope.
Yes. Yes. That's how it's told.
This going forward. Even though, as we said, if you look at, and but that's interesting that it's the amalgam. There's the one that speaks to us, the amalgam and the whatever that speaks to us culturally today. It's not actually the text, that what's actually written in these texts that is speaking to us when we talk about Christmas and its meaning today. It's something else that we've extracted from this.
Else, and it's something else that I think leans more strongly into Luke's than Matthew's, I feel like. Because Luke's comes close to that.
Wise men and the star are real important.
Yeah. So it is an yeah.
But okay, but that's also an interesting thing that we could think about how that happens and what that means. That if this is a continuation of because if we talk about 2,000 years ago, there are people who are taking these stories and what's most meaningful to them, and they're extracting that, and then they're writing it into their writings in order to communicate something that they find meaningful. And now today, perhaps, we don't find either the story of Luke or Matthew meaningful, but we can extract some elements from both Luke and Matthew and construct a story which is meaningful and which gives us hope. That would be a continuation of the entire religious story construction.
That is a really interesting thought. Yeah, perhaps.
Maybe that's what's going on.
Well, that's what's going on. But then there's also, of course, the tradition of biblical literalism, which has to accept that every single thing is true. So they have to force it to be together.
Yes. Yeah,
that's why we get it. But maybe that's not the reason why. But even though I say that, but you bring up a good point that not every detail is included in our version. So it is a mashup, but it isn't completely. So yeah, I think your thought there is intriguing.
I bet that if I were to do, which is actually not what I set out to write, by the way. We'll say that what I wrote was a rather cynical approach.
Yeah.
But I didn't set out to write that. And like I said, I do see books, that I had as a kid. That's the Christmas Story, which is an amalgamation of these two things that is happy, that I think is probably portraying a message of hope. And I bet you could construct an entire story like that. It wasn't the story that I got out of that because I had to deal with other things. But I bet you could rewrite a hopeful story about a redeemer for all mankind, which is what it is, out of that. Even though, yes, I went for a cynical route to intentionally engage with things that people do not engage with today.
Yeah, the people just kind of gloss over, right?
Which is a part of Christianity that we gloss over. Yeah. Well, I know actually. So I'm pretty. There may be something else to talk about and continue, but actually, I'm pretty happy as we talk that out with that resolution to that answer.
Yeah,
a resolution to that question. That was a pretty reasonable answer, I think.
Well, good. I at some point kind of closed the Campbell's book because even though there were more notes, I feel like the purpose that they play in the conversation, I think we've probably wrapped that up. I'm not sure. I mean, I can glance at it, but I feel like there's probably not more.
With the hero's journey and the Christ identification with the different mythological.
Yeah, I think
that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I think I've pretty much, even though I had more things, I think I've pretty much, yeah, contributed there what the conversation needed.